Welcome to another episode of Neon Radio. I'm Reece.
I'm Dan.
And this week we're doing Saving Private Ryan.
One of Steven Spielberg's greatest movies,
Yep.
I'll say. It's about a group of rangers that are brought in to save a Mr. Private Ryan.
Yeah.
During a terrible war, World War II.
Yep. So this movie's story and acting it's
Next level.
phenomenal.
Next level.
It is above and beyond. This is the film that would inspire and create like almost like an outline for war films for the future.
And games.
Everything to do with like war in general. But I would say this is the first film to actually show a very real form of the atrocities of war.
Gruesome atrocities.
Yeah, as well as not making it slapsticky in any way.
Yeah.
Like moments from Apocalypse Now and Platoon, they seem to be a little bit more bro-y, as one would say. But
Well, it's funny that because later on they made Band of Brothers, and this was the one I think that brought it together. And when you're watching the movie, you see they are a band of brothers,
and that's the main point of the film. There's two real points to it. It is to show the atrocities of war and to show brotherhood within the armed forces in that form.
Yeah.
And it doesn't do it in a way where they're not alcoholics or junkies, or they're not absolutely crazy or anything. These are just men who are now in a crazy scenarios.
Yeah, and that's what works in this movie. Actually, it's like watching your dad or your brother or whoever in real life in a war. And,
it really is.
And you actually feel for the characters. And speaking of the characters, the story arc for each character is just simply amazing.
Yeah, well,
you see them grow during the movie.
They grow a lot, and we slowly learn things about the characters, but it's not a detriment to the pacing of the film. Like, it's actually helpful to the pacing of the film.
Yeah.
And because they deliver information about characters at the correct times in the film.
Yeah.
Not just in big drops of information.
Yeah, I love that. It's very subtle.
Yeah, it is. It is. And
there's like two key scenes.
Yeah.
Where there's bits of background storytelling going on, and it's like a pivotal point of the movie.
It really is, yeah. And I think, but each character does have their moment.
Yeah.
And each character feels well fleshed out and lived in. And just, it really is a true sentiment to Steven Spielberg's abilities, especially this film.
He's an absolute masterclass.
Yeah.
When it comes to directing and basically having a vision of putting something like this together.
Yeah, well, I mean, like the amount of time, the amount of lack of preparation for a lot of, for example, the Omaha Beach scene at the start of this movie, which I'm not going too far into the story if no one's ever seen it, but that's the very beginning. The lack of preparation for that made that scene so much better. He was doing everything on the fly. Even he was holding the camera a lot of the time. And speaking of the cameras, cinematography in this, Dan.
Cinematography is amazing. Shot by one of, I should say, the Academy's greats. Janis, his name is. He's a collaborator with Spielberg in all of his movies, or most of his movies.
Pretty much.
That has a really like a bleached bypass look to the film. There's also just sort of like a staccato sort of look in some of the scenes.
Yeah.
It actually feels like, well, I'm going to keep coming back to the Omaha Beach landing. It actually feels like you're there, especially with the point of view shots. It's just really, really well done.
Yeah, the look of such a clear picture with blown out whites is it's quite beautiful for the scene.
Surreal.
And then pulling back the saturation kind of helps with like the dreariness of the locations and what they're going through. But I think that if you look at, I've never seen any other. I can't think of one movie that looks even remotely like this.
No, it's
at all. It's so.
This is what's funny. Like I think it's a war movie that stands alone, and I think people are trying to reach it, but they just can't get it there. This to me, this is like one of the best war movies ever.
Yeah, I think, and especially with what it's trying to say with respect to the troops, just with all round what it's trying to tell people.
I think it's based a lot on heart. That's what works with this movie. I'm going to say film. It's an actual. I'll say it again. It's a masterclass on a personal level and just like a cinematic achievement.
Yeah, it's a masterclass in cinematography, in directing for sure.
Yeah.
In choices and decisions from actors. The production design of this movie is flawless. I mean,
how good is
it? The decisions made at the start, like the historic accuracies, out of this world, especially with things on the Omaha Beach scene. And later on, as the movie progresses, you never really get that intensity ever again. But you definitely do have appreciation for the rest of the film's production design. It just really never reaches the same as Omaha Beach to me.
No, I think because the opening is just really shocking.
It really
just throws you straight into it.
And a lot of veterans, sorry to cut you off, a lot of veterans actually left the cinemas within this. Dan himself said that...
I was lucky enough to see it in the cinema when it first got released. I wanted to go to war. I joined the army at the time. You know, young, stupid.
Not you.
Not me, definitely not me. But after I watched this and walked out and
wow, bullets. Wow.
All right. But after seeing this, and seeing 70, 80-year-olds break down and cry, walking out of the cinema, it's like, man, this is just shocking. It's real, and it really opens your eyes up how bad wars can be. Especially that the psychological effects later on. And you see some of that in this movie. It's fantastic.
It does that really well. The Omaha Beach, with the characters, it does it really well because you get the shock and you get the decisions for the characters to continue on and do their duty, but you also see things like shaking hands, breaking down, the after effects within and after war, and how it's changed them as human beings, which is important for the film and for just generally what war is, the atrocities behind it.
I just like that parts in this film weren't there for effect. No. It's there for purpose.
Yeah.
And that's Steven Spielberg at heart, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. The sound and music for this.
I was going to say, how good is it? This is what can actually make you cry.
John Williams. Yeah, and let's face it, like it does sound very much so like this is what war music, like, appreciation for war would be like the sacrifices for people. Yeah. So I think that, the music, there's not much to say on it, but like it was really well done. Sound effects were just amazing. The only other movies, like we said, Last of Us Part 2 had fantastic sound effects as a game. I think that The Town maybe lives up to it in the sound effect department. Yeah.
If you're watching this again and you know someone that's got a really good sound system,
pump it.
Yeah.
Which
watch
is
it with that,
something that he said to do.
Yeah. Well, actually, in the movies, he said he wanted the audio cranked up in the cinemas.
Yeah, Spielberg did.
Which I think is a similar effect to what they did in Dunkirk, the cracking sounds of the bullets. Yeah.
The decisions here for the sound effects were amazing, and they're all real sound effects. They were recorded, and the innovations for this film are amazing. The innovations in CGI technology, not CGI, special effects technology were amazing with it. The choices of using actual real amputees for the scenes instead of like the only person that wasn't a real amputee was Bryan Cranston, and everyone else was that had like limbs shot off or anything. The movie is a feat. Final thoughts?
It is. Final thoughts. This is, I will say it, my favourite war movie of all time. There's other ones that come close, which we can review later on. I think it is Spielberg's probably best film. I know that's a big call. But yeah, look, I think... I've probably watched this 50 times and I've never got bored of it. I've never paused it. I've never fast-forwarded it. The characters are just spot on. You feel for them, especially when they get to certain scenes. You can feel the baggage they have on them when they get to certain scenes. But yeah, I'm giving this a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, that sounds decent. This is a film where it does exactly what it's supposed to do. And even though I think it was originally not wanting to do this wasn't the idea that Spielberg had originally, the directions that he took it were the correct directions. So the atrocities of war, the ramifications, the brotherhood, I think all of these things are important. And then it's just packaged in just a timeless capsule. Like you will never get anything that it will never feel like it's out of date.
No.
I'm going to give this a 9.5 out of 10. Easy. Yeah.
Awesome. You can check out a long version of this review on Spoiler Radio on all of your podcasts devices.
Yeah, subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all the socials. And I think that wraps it up for us.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And we'll see you next week. Lights out.